Good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good af- I think previous class is completed. Which class?
Paper 3, sir.
Paper 3 now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now today we are going to discuss Joseph Andrews. Joseph Andrew. Who wrote Joseph Andrew?
Henry Fielding.
Henry Fielding. So we are going to discuss Joseph Andrews. Joseph Andrew, which was written by Henry Fielding. So last class we discussed Crusoe. Robinson Crusoe.
Daniel Defoe.
Daniel Defoe. Today, next class, we will discuss Gulliver's Travel. Now I am sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay. It was written by Henry Fielding. He was born in 1707 and he died in 1754. So exactly 22nd April 1707 and he died on 8th October 1754. Was an English novelist and dramatist known for his earthy humor and satire. So he was also a famous satirist. Now we are going to discuss Tom Jones, Joseph Andrews. Joseph Andrews, is it a play or novel? Is it a play or novel? Any one of you please respond. Joseph Andrews, is it a play or novel?
It's a novel, sir.
Okay, it is a novel. So I'll send you material because the last time I did not take the mail ID. So after when I signed out and that mail is not there, that is my problem. I'll send you this material and next class material. Don't worry. First listen to the classroom, end of the class. Now, he was an English novelist and dramatist known for his earthy humor and satire. It's a comic novel. Tom Jones is still widely appreciated. Tom Jones also a very famous novel. And he and Samuel Richardson are seen as the founders of the traditional English novel. So this is Samuel Richardson. Our Joseph Andrew mainly focuses on based on the Samuel Richardson's Pamela. Pamela was written by Samuel Richardson. It is a famous novel. And it's a parody of Joseph Andrews. Joseph Andrew, it's a parody of Samuel Richardson's Pamela. So he also holds a place in the history of law enforcement, having used his authority as a magistrate to found the Bow Street Runners, London's first independently funded full-time police force. So he worked as a magistrate and to found the Bow Street Runners. And 17 before that, I'll show you one more. This is okay. Novelist and playwright, one of the founders of the English novel. So he was also one of the founders of he and Samuel Richardson. Samuel Richardson also a famous novelist and is a famous novel Pamela. Pamela Virtue Rewarded. Subtitle of the Pamela is a Virtue Rewarded. It is also a very famous novel, Samuel Richardson, Pamela. Based on the Pamela, this is a Joseph Andrews was written. Based on the Pamela, Joseph Andrews was written. One of the founder, the greatest novelist of the 18th century. He was one of the greatest novelists of 18th century. And Life and Fielding Position Major Works, Joseph Andrews, and Features of Fielding's novels. So life, an aristocratic family. He was a very rich family, aristocratic family, well educated, deep knowledge of life. In order to make a living for himself, he began to write plays and farces for the stage. So farce novels also is there, and I don't want to go in detail about the farce. And play and novels. Both are. So he was a famous playwright and a novelist. You should be very careful about who is a playwright and who is a novelist. William Shakespeare, he was a playwright and novelist. Any one of you, do you have any idea? William Shakespeare only wrote plays, dramas. Play and drama both are same. Play or drama, both are synonyms. So William Shakespeare only he wrote plays only. He did not write novels. As an English literature student, you must explain to them anybody. William Shakespeare was a playwright only. He did not write novels. But when it comes to the Joseph and Henry Fielding, he was a playwright and as well as novelist. So he wrote dramas, he wrote plays and novels. But we are going to discuss only novel. That novel is a Joseph Andrews. And Tom Jones also. Tom Jones was written by Henry Fielding. That is a very famous novel, Tom Jones. And later, soon he became one of the most popular playwrights in London. Most of his dramatic works were satiric comedies. So he was very good at satiric comedies. Satiric comedy, what is a satiric comedy? Satiric comedy, do you know, do you watch the Vitri Sati V6? That is a satiric comedy. Satiric comedy, satiring the people and generating, creating a social awareness as well as satiric comedy. And satiring the people and as well as the comedy, generating comedy. That is called satiric comedy. So, Vitri Sati it is called satiric comedy. Fielding mercilessly exposed the corruption, hypocrisy, the cruelty of the officials. So, hypocrisy and the cruelty of the officials, we can see exposed majorly focus on the corruption. Next, his place of course caused fear in the government, aroused hatred of the ruling class. So ruling class people, they are taking very seriously, arouse hatred of the ruling class people. So ruling class means kings and queens. They take this one as a satiric comedy and he satires kings and queens. In 1737, an act appeared according to which play should be brought under direct censorship. So this is all, I don't want to go in detail because we have lack of time. And Fielding could not write plays, so he ended his career as a playwright and took up a study of law. He was made a judge in 1748. Sharp burlesque comedy satirizing the government. Prime Minister Sir Robert Walpole. So he was a British Prime Minister that time, 18th century. The Theatrical Licensing Act directed primarily at him. So this is all about now. Because see here is in 1740 Samuel Richardson published Pamela. Pamela, it is a subtitle of the Pamela, Virtue Rewarded, which was an instant success. Who wrote Pamela?
Samuel Richardson.
Samuel Richardson. So he is different, and he is also one of the co-founder of British novelist Samuel Richardson. Samuel Richardson, he wrote Pamela, which was published in 1740, and subtitle of the Pamela, Virtue Rewarded. Virtue Rewarded. Pamela is a protagonist in the Pamela story, Pamela novel, and it's a very famous novel. Based on that, our Henry Fielding was inspired. He was inspired by the Pamela, and he wrote Joseph Andrews. However, Fielding found the work objectionable and set out to write a parody. So it is a mock parody. It's a parody, which he called an apology for life of Mrs. Shamila Andrews. Shamila Andrews, it is also a parody of Pamela. Although the book was published anonymously and Fielding never claimed credit, it is greatly accepted that he was the author. He followed with Joseph Andrews, which was published 1742, another parody. It's a parody. So based on the Samuel Richardson's Pamela, and Henry Fielding wrote Joseph Andrews, which was published in 1742 after 2 years. Another parody published anonymously, the history of the life of Mr. Jonathan Wild the Great. So these are the two parodies, and almost three. So Joseph Andrews and the history of the life of Mr. Jonathan Wild the Great, which was published in 1743. And these are the novels which were published by Henry Fielding. Shamila. So he wrote Pamela. Samuel Richardson. Henry Fielding wrote Shamila. Sharmila Gadu. It is a Shamila. Novel published 1741. The history of the adventures of Joseph Andrews and his friend Mr. Abrams, 1742. So this is our major novel. We are going to discuss the full title of the history of adventures of Joseph Andrews and his friend Mr. Abrams. The life and death of Jonathan Wild the Great, 1743. Ironic treatment of Jonathan Wild, a notorious underworld figure of the time, published as a volume of 3. So this is also published in 1743. Next, the female husband of the surprising history. I have to accept, huh? Okay. Who was convicted of having married a young woman of Wales and lived with her as her husband, taken from her own mouth since her confinement pamphlet, fictionalized report, 46. History of Tom Jones, a foundling, 1749. Tom Jones also famous novel. Actually, it's a full title, The History of Tom Jones, a Foundling. So it is adventure story. It is a Tom Jones and Joseph Andrews. These are the two major novels of Henry Fielding. One is Joseph Andrews and the other one is Tom Jones. These are the two famous novels. A Journey from this world to the next, 1749. Amelia, 1751. So these are all about Henry Fielding. Henry Fielding was a co-founder of English novel. He was a famous novelist, and he was born in aristocratic family, well educated and rich family background. So he was a playwright and as well as a novelist. So he is a majorly focused. He worked as a magistrate. And his complete novels, mainly dramas and plays, mainly focuses on satiric comedy, and he was greatly influenced by Samuel Richardson's Pamela. Pamela, it is actually epistolary novel. Epistolary novels means it is a form of letter This is also very important point. If you have a pen and paper, if you are not, everyone should have a pen and paper when you're listening to the classroom. When you're listening to the classroom, you should have a pen and paper. You write down whenever it is important. You write down. It is an epistolary novel. Epistolary novel. Samuel Richardson, Pamela. Epistolary novel means it is a form of letter. So letter format lo untadi. It is a form of letter format. Novel, epistolary novel. So now we are going to discuss Joseph Andrews. Major characters. These are the very important characters. Everyone should write or remember, because if you don't understand, you don't listen to the characters.
Still,
Okay.
Pamela is an epistolary novel. It is a form of.
Letter form. Letter.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It is a letter format. Letter.
Format. Okay.
So it's a letter form. Letter form. లెటర్ రాసుకుంటూ ఉంటుంది నావెల్ కూడా. లెటర్ లోకల్ నుంచి వాళ్ళు రాసుకుంటారు అట్లా ఉంటుంది. సో నౌ దీస్ ఆర్ ద మేజర్ క్యారెక్టర్స్ ఆఫ్ జోసెఫ్ ఆండ్రూస్. Joseph first character name Joseph Andrews, a handsome and virtuous young footman whom Lady Booby attempts to corrupt. So Joseph Andrews and protagonist of this novel, Joseph Andrews, and he was a handsome boy and virtuous young footman. Footman, so suppose if you go anywhere, they follow. He is like a maid servant. Paniman's anamata. Mr. Abraham Adams. Actually akkada mistake anukunta. Abraham Adams, a benevolent, absent-minded, impecunious, means less money and somewhat vain curate in Lady Booby's country parish. So benevolent, absent-minded. He is a clergyman. Mata Prabodhakudu. Mr. Abraham Adams is a clergyman. Mata Prabodhakudu. Telugulo. Abraham Adams, a clergyman. Fanny Goodwill, the beautiful and reserved beloved of Joseph, and a milkmaid believed to be an orphan and ensure many unsuccessful sexual assaults. So many people, they assault her sexually. And Sir Thomas Booby, that recent deceased master of Joseph and patron of Mr. Adams. Lady Booby, Sir Thomas' widow, whose grieving process involves playing cards and propitiating servants. Mrs. Slipslop, hideous, sexually voracious upper servant in the Booby household. Like her mistress, she lusts after Joseph. Mr. Booby, the nephew of Sir Thomas. So first one, Joseph Andrews, and protagonist of this novel, Mr. Abraham Adams. He is a clergyman. Fanny Goodwill, and she is a milkmaid, milkmaid, believed to be an orphan. Thomas Booby, and Thomas Booby's wife, Lady Booby. And beginning of the story, Thomas Booby, who is died in the story. Mrs. Slipslop, she is also upper class servant. ఈమె కూడా పని మనిషి కానీ అప్పర్ క్లాస్ సర్వెంట్. అంటే అప్పర్ మీన్స్ చిన్న పనులు ఇంట్లో తూడ్చడం కాకుండా కొంచెం అప్పర్ క్లాస్ సర్వెంట్. అండ్ మిస్టర్ బూబీ, ద నెప్యూ ఆఫ్ సర్ థామస్. ఓకే, am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Next. So please mute your audio. That is important. Pamela Andrews, I already told you. Pamela, who is Pamela?
Protagonist.
Pamela Andrews. Pamela.
Yeah, it's a novel. Just now you told in the form of a letter they have written.
It is a sister, sir. It is the
Pamela.
story.
She's a 15-year-old servant.
Okay,
Mr.
okay.
Andrews.
No, actually, Pamela was written by Samuel Richardson. That is a Pamela is a sister of Joseph Andrews. Actually, Henry Fielding was greatly influenced by Pamela. That same character, Pamela, is also in Joseph Andrews' story. He included, and he changed the name Pamela Andrews, Joseph's virtue and beautiful sister, from whom she derives inspiration for his resistance to Lady Booby's sexual advances. Pamela Andrews, actually, Pamela story, Pamela, she is a servant in a Mr. B. B is a character, Mr. B. This B character, and house owner always trying to seduce her, and sexually advanced to her, but she is very generous character. And at the end of the story, and Pamela was married to the house owner because of her virtuous qualities. Pamela Andrews and Mr. Andrews, the father of Pamela, and ostensibly Joseph. Mr. Andrews, mother of Pamela, and ostensibly Joseph. Mr. Towhouse, the master of the inn where Joseph boards after being attacked by the ruffians. Betty, a chambermaid in the inn of Mr. and Mrs. Towhouse. Mr. Barnabas, a clergyman who never passes off a drink and half-heartedly attends Joseph during his recovery from the attack by the ruffians. Mr. Wilson, a gentleman who after turbulent youth has retired to the country with his wife and children, lives a life of virtue and simplicity. Mrs. Wilson, the wife of Wilson. So these are characters, and how many characters? Huh?
15. 15.
15 characters. Who is the milkmaid? Who is milkmaid?
Sir, Fanny Goodwill.
Fanny Goodwill.
Fanny Goodwill, she is a milkmaid. And Thomas Booby and Lady Booby. So Lady Booby, very rich woman. Mrs. Slipslop, she is also servant. Now we are going to discuss the major theme of. I'll discuss the major theme of Joseph Andrews. Joseph Andrews, he works as a footman to the Thomas Booby and Lady Booby. Footman. He is a servant to the family, Booby family, Thomas Booby and Lady Booby. So at the age of 7 years, he worked as a servant to the family, Thomas Booby and Lady Booby. Our protagonist, major important character, Joseph Andrew, who works as a footman to the Thomas Booby and Lady Booby family. And later, so it's a very rich family, Booby family. They are a very, very rich family, Orthodox family, and they are bureaucrats. And this is the Thomas Booby who works as a member of parliament, is a well-known person in the country, and everybody recognizes him because he's a very good person and is a very great person. So he's a very, very rich person. So even Joseph Andrew works as a footman to the Lady Booby. At the age of 7, is a tender voice, He is a very handsome boy, a very delicate person, and he follows our protagonist, major important character, who is a clergyman. What is the name of the clergyman?
Mr. Abraham Adams.
Mr. Abraham Adams. So he is a clergyman, and he is a very great believer of Jesus Christ, Abraham Adams, and he is a very religious person, but he has some problem. He has little money. He has a poor family background. He has 6 children, and sometimes he's absent-minded. So, and he works as a Lady Booby's country parish. So parish is a church. So the church of Lady Booby Church. So he works as a country parish, and he teaches Latin. Our Joseph Andrew is a great follower of Abraham Adams. Our hero also, Joseph Andrew, is a virtuous, handsome, virtuous young footman and very religious. He follows the morality and rules and regulations. He is a pathfinder of Abraham Adams. He is a great believer of religious issues, religious matters, Joseph Andrews. But he is a very, very handsome boy, very handsome. But we see the person as Joseph Andrew at the age of 7, and later at the age of 17, and later the story 21 years. Is a very, very young boy. Abraham Adams, his age is 50 years. 50 years, he has six children, and very religious person. Joseph Andrews is a footman of Lady Booby. But when it comes to the story, Lady Booby and Thomas Booby, wife and husband. So they are trying to shift to London. They're trying to shift from their place to the London. So, and along with the Thomas Booby and Lady Booby, Joseph Andrew also, he goes along with them to London. So because he's a servant, he's a footman to Lady Booby. He's a tender voice. Because of his handsome, Lady Booby always trying to seduce Joseph Andrews, seducing, and sexual desire on Joseph Andrews. Lady Booby has a sexual desire on Joseph Andrews. So, but Joseph Andrews is a great follower of Abraham Adams and is a believer of God, but he was never intimated by Lady Booby. But Lady Booby never stopped to seducing, always trying to seduce Joseph Andrews. But Joseph Andrews is actually, he is a servant to Lady Booby, but this is the Joseph Andrews, he never disturbed by Lady Booby. So always trying to seducing Joseph Andrews, Lady Booby. And unfortunately, Thomas Booby, who is died beginning of the story. Thomas Booby, who is died. And after death of the Thomas Booby, Lady Booby, and she's playing cards with the servants, but she's never showed troubles. She never showed that kind of sympathetic feelings towards her husband. And Lady Booby always, even though she has a freedom right now, because her husband who is died, Thomas Booby, and she has a freedom to she always trying to seduce Joseph Andrews and sexual desire, but Joseph Andrews He's a very strict man and very handsome. And at the same time, here there are, see the virtuous characters, virtuous young footman. And this is the story Joseph Andrew also we can compare with the Pamela. Who wrote the Samuel Richardson Pamela story? It's similar to the Pamela, Samuel Richardson's Pamela. Joseph Andrews, who is also very strict, and at the same time, Mrs. Slipslop, she is also very much interested Joseph Andrews. But Slipslop, she is a servant to Lady Booby, but Slipslop also is very much interested with Joseph Andrews. Slipslop also trying to seducing Joseph Andrews. She has a lust after Joseph. Already here is the sixth. Like her mistress, she lusts after Joseph's. Here there are two characters. One is a Lady Booby already. She is a widow. And Mrs. Slipslop, middle-aged woman. She also trying to seduce Joseph Andrews. And Lady Booby also trying to seduce Joseph Andrews. These are the Slipslop, and Lady Booby has a lust and a sexual desire on Joseph Andrews. But Joseph Andrews' character is different. He is a very brilliant, very hardworking man. He believes in God, and he is a chastity, is a good nature, because the clergyman Abraham Adams, Mr. Adams, who explains even though men and women, if they lost their sexual, maybe there is a honesty and a truthfulness. Those people, they are the sinners of the sinner. They are sinners. They would commit mistakes. They never know the real character, the true nature of the Christianity. So that is the kind of belief Joseph Andrews has. So, and when it comes to the London, but Lady Booby thinks that this is the person is not, so he's a very strict man, and Lady Booby and compelling him, you should not work here. So you can go from this place as soon as possible. You should not work here. So because of his good character, because of his honesty, he lost his job. So now he is in London. So he wants to go to his own village. There he wants to meet their family members. And the journey started. It is an adventurous story. Joseph Andrews, it is an adventurous story. There's so many adventures, so many difficulties he faced. And he started his journey. And even though he doesn't have money, he borrows clothes from the servant, from Lady Boo. Hello? Please tell me. Anyone, do you have any questions? Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So he's going to where? Right now, Joseph Andrews is in?
London.
He's in London. He lost his job. Now he started journey to go to his hometown. So Joseph Andrews, he's a girlfriend named Fanny Goodwill. Both they grow up in the same place. Joseph Andrews, he's a great lover of Fanny Goodwill, and Fanny Goodwill also loves Joseph Andrews. And Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill, they want to get marriage. And Joseph Andrews, Fanny Goodwill, the beautiful but reserved beloved of Joseph. Reserved beloved of Joseph, and milkmaid, believed to be an orphan, that endures many unsuccessful sexual assaults. Now, the journey started, Joseph Andrews' journey started. He faces so many difficulties while he travels to his place. A number of adventurous events he may get. So in the journey, and he is attacked by the ruffians, thieves. He is attacked by the thieves, and they beat him like an animal, and they throw him in the ditch. They throw him in the ditch in the forest area. And those thieves, they take the clothes of Joseph Andrews and they left him as a naked body without clothes. So they threw him in the ditch in the forest. And actually, this Joseph Andrews is a very poor family background. He is a servant to Lady Booby, but Lady Booby trying to seducing him, but he is never disturbed because of his virtuous character. And Joseph Andrews right now he is attacked by the thieves and two ruffians, and he badly beaten by the two ruffians, two thieves. And this is the man is thrown away in the ditch, and right now he is in naked, no clothes, and he lost his money and everything he lost. So in that place, the coachman, the coachman, those people, they see the Joseph Andrews, the coach, the stage coach. Some of the women, they don't allow the Joseph Andrew to enter into the stage coach. But there is one clergyman and one doctor. The lawyer, they request other passengers, and Joseph Andrews right now is in unconditional coma, like almost in a coma situation. Is unconscious and is naked, no money, nothing is there. It's a very pathetic condition, and so he lost almost his. Hello.
Yes, sir. Sorry to disturb you. Actually, there is a network problem from my side. I only listened up to that they took the clothes of him and left him naked. My network was gone, sir. Can you please explain it again, sir?
Okay. So explaining one by one. Okay. Anyway, so up to
Naked.
Okay. Up to is naked and he is thrown away. So he is thrown away in the ditch, and there is a stage coach. The stage coach, because 18th century there are no vehicles, no cars, no trains. I think train is there, but 19th century. Okay, no vehicles, no cars. So because of that condition, Joseph Andrew as so he's in the ditch, and there is a stage coach. There are one lawyer and one doctor. They see Joseph Andrews. They save him, and they place him in a small inn. Inn and a hotel inn. So they here one more character, Betty, a chambermaid in the inn of Mr. and Mrs. Stowehouse. So this is the character. Do you see this one? Are you seeing? This is the Betty. Hello? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So here is the Betty. Betty and Mr. Stowehouse, Mr. and Mrs. Stowehouse, they gave shelter. They gave shelter to Joseph Andrews, but initially they reject to give him shelter. But Betty, chambermaid, she gave shelter to Joseph Andrews, and Joseph Andrews right now is wounded and severely injured, and so he lost his consciousness. A very, very pathetic condition. And one of the stage coach, passenger who gives his coat to Joseph Andrews because he's a naked, and because he lost the money and he doesn't have money, and his clothes also actually, those clothes he borrowed from, is one of the servants of Lady Booby, because he wants to go to his hometown because he lost his job to survive there, and he started his journey. And the stage coach, one of the stage coach passengers who gives a coat to Joseph Andrews, and he takes that one, and Joseph Andrews full wounded so many areas and greatly injured because of the thieves, and they beat him, they pushed him in the ditch and the forest. So Betty, the chambermaid, but initially they reject Mr. Tauhaus and Mrs. Tauhaus. They reject to give shelter to Joseph Andrew but Betty says that his face looks so clear and he belongs to the upper class family, a rich family background, but we don't know because who works as a footman to Lady Booby, and even though rich families, he works for the rich family, so he also looks his face very clear. There are no marks on his face, and Betty thinks that so he belongs to the upper class family, rich family background, and Betty who protects, who serves to him. And later, so there is a Betty also. See, this is how the pathetic condition of Joseph Andrews, and Betty also trying to seduce to the Joseph Andrews. So this is the three characters. So seducing Joseph Andrews. One is a Lady Booby, another one Mrs. Slipslop, and another third character Betty also trying to seduce Joseph Andrews. So she is a chambermaid, and she has also lust on Joseph Andrews. So there is some people that are treating him as a servant. So in the meanwhile, what happens? Mr. Adams, who travels to London to publish his sermons, sermons, sermons. Okay, am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, Mr. Adams, he started his journey to go to London to publish his sermons. sermons. Sermons and Matan Samanjana Patrikal. So, he wants to publish his sermons. So, he started his journey to go to London. There, he wants to publish his sermons. So, he travels to London. But our Joseph Andrews, who travels to the hometown, so there he meets Abraham Adams, who meets Joseph Andrews, and Mr. Adams, who recognizes Joseph Andrews, and he is completely wounded. So he is attacked by the thieves, and he is in a very dangerous situation. Mr. Adams so feels very happy, and Joseph Andrews feels very happy. Both they reunite, and Abraham Adams says that don't worry, Joseph Andrews, we go. So I will give you shelter, I will give you protection, don't worry. Then they are comfortable in that place. So Mr. Abraham Adams, and there is another clergyman. This is another clergyman. His name is Mr. Barnabas. So this is another clergyman. So there is a discussion between Mr. Adams and Mr. Barnabas. There's a conversation between religious issues, Mr. Adams and Mr. Barnabas. So that is a discussion also related to the theme of this Joseph Andrews. And Abraham Adams So they want to try to go from that place. Now they started the journey, and before that, Mr. Adams actually what purpose he comes to London? Mr. Adams, what purpose he comes to London?
To publish his sermons, sir.
To publish his sermons. To publish his sermons. Unfortunately, what happens if his wife replaced the sermons and she replaced with the clothes? She put the clothes and she removed the sermons in his bag. But actually, he wants to publish sermons, but he did not bring sermons in his bag. But when he opens his bag, but his sermons are not there in the bag. He is in a very, very disappointed because of his wife, and because his wife she did not notice, and she placed in front of the sermon, she placed clothes in his bag. So what happens? Mr. Adams says that okay, but right now I come to my intention wants to go to London because of I want to publish my sermons, but in my bag there are no sermons, and why should I go? What purpose I need to go? So let us go to our hometown. Again, Joseph Andrews and Mr. Mr. Adams, they started the journey to go to their hometown. So in the journey, there are so many adventurous stories, adventurous incidents that happen, and so many thieves they talk, so many thieves. And meanwhile, so Joseph Andrews and Abraham Adams, they started the journey. And later, what happens in the meanwhile? So in the journey, Joseph Andrews and Mr. Adams, when they go to another place, so the next town, these are the all people they go to. Actually, the purpose they go to, they go on foot. And this is actually Lady Booby's. Joseph Andrew also is a footman to the Lady Booby. So they go to London or wherever they want to go, and they have a stage coach. And this is Mr. Adams who brings horse. The horse, whose horse? Actually, Lady Booby's horse. So who brings the horse? Who comes by horse? And because they did not pay the money to the inn, the hotel, the inn, and those people they take the horse. So again, they want to. This is the Mr. Adams who wants to take money, to borrow money from different sources. He is trying to borrow his horse. At last, he succeeded. He borrows money from his friends and he take his horse, and they are going to next town. There, Joseph Andrews and Mr. Adams they dispatch. They are dispatched because they are miscommunication, whatever the reasons they have. So Mr. Adams, when he goes to another inn, another hotel, there is one girl is there. The girl is attacked by the two ruffians, some more ruffians, not two, some thieves. The girl is screaming. The girl screams and crying and shouting because of the thieves. And Mr. Adams, who goes and protects the girl crying a lot and saying that actually the purpose of visit, the purpose she goes to London to meet her boyfriend. Mr. Adam requests her, what is the name of your boyfriend? And actually she says that my boyfriend name is Joseph Andrew. And what is your name? So Mr. Adam asks the girl actually Fanny Goodwill. Fanny Goodwill already, so she also searching, she is started the searching for Joseph, but she thinks that Joseph is in London. So that purpose Fanny Goodwill, she wants to go to London. There he wants to meet her boyfriend and they want to marry. So actually she believed an orphan, and Fanny Goodwill tries to search her boyfriend and Joseph. And Mr. Adams says that don't worry, already Joseph Andrew also, who comes from London to his hometown, and I think he wants to meet you. And Fanny Goodwill also, she feels very happy, and her intention wants to meet Joseph Andrews. The journey starts, and there is so many complications, so many differences, so many adventurous things happen in the story. And later, so Joseph Andrews and Mr. Adams, and again they are attacked by some more ruffians. Mr. Adams and Fanny Goodwill, these two people are attacked by the two thieves, and everybody thinks that Mr. Adams and Fanny Goodwill, they are actually thieves, but they go to in front of the magistrate, and the magistrate also thinks that they are thieves, they are ruffians, and he wants to give judgment, he wants to give punishment to this Mr. Adams and Fanny Goodwill, and about to give the punishment. And there is one more character, his name the Squire, who recognizes Adams, so Mr. Adams, and he explains everything to the magistrate, and the magistrate feels very happy, and he is not a thief, he is a clergyman, and he did not give any kind of punishment to Mr. Adams and Fanny Goodwill. So they are released, and later after that court, they again, Mr. Adams and Fanny Goodwill, again they meet Joseph Andrews in different inn. Mr. Adams and Fanny Goodwill, and by seeing Fanny Goodwill, Joseph Andrews, he feels very, very happy. By seeing Fanny Goodwill, I am really blessed to meet you, I am very happy to meet you. In this time, so these two lovers, after meeting so many days, after maybe almost a year, almost a year, not years, so almost a year, they reunite, and they feel very happy, and the meanwhile they want to get marriage right now. But Mr. Adams says that no, this is not the right time, so we have to go to our hometown, and we both can marry in church of our country, Lady Booby's country parish. There we can go and meet church father or some people who are senior people, we can go and meet them. There you can get marriage. So Mr. Adam suggests to Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill. Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill, again they feel very happy. So meanwhile, what happened? Another character, some more, the Squire wants to. There is I did not mention the one more character. 16 character, the Squire, I did not mention because it is a minor character. The Squire also trying to seduce, trying to rape the Squire, that trying to rape Fanny Goodwill. So because he initially, you can see Fanny Goodwill, when she travels to London, an unknown stranger, he meets her, and there is a make friendship with her, explaining everything to her. I want to come with you, I want to come, and I'll give you shelter, I'll give protection to you. But when the journey started, that stranger trying to rape Fanny Goodwill at that time, and she is saved by Mr. Adams. But right now the Squire, one more character, the innkeeper also trying to seduce, trying to rape Fanny Goodwill. So that is the story. So many, in this journey they attacked so many people, they attacked by so many thieves, so many people, so many strangers, so many clergymen, they meet so many lawyers, one lawyer and one doctor, they meet some clergymen. So in the journey there are so many adventurous things happen in the journey. Mr. Adams and Fanny Goodwill. So again there is the Squire a talking Fanny Goodwill, Mr. Adams and Joseph Andrews. These two people are attacked by the two ruffians dogs, wild dogs, wild dogs. They attack. So the thieves they release the dogs on Mr. Joseph Andrews and Mr. Adams. So later they fight against. They kill two dogs of thieves. In these situations, they are tied with a rope. Joseph Andrews, Mr. Adams, tied with rope. The thieves they tied with rope, and Fanny Goodwill trying. So this is the squire who trying to seduce, or trying to rape Fanny Goodwill, and already Joseph Andrews and Mr. Adams are tied with rope. So this situation, Mrs. Slipslop, Lady Booby's servant, Lady Booby's people, they save from the thieves of Joseph Andrews, Abraham Adams, and Fanny Goodwill. So all these people are released, and these people are saved by Mrs. Slipslop. And Slipslop and Lady Booby Lady Booby's servant, they come and give protection to the Joseph Andrews, Mr. Adams, and Fanny Goodwill. So these three people, so they go to Lady Booby's house. And Lady Booby, so after seeing Joseph Andrews, she feels very, very happy, but she is in a deep lust on Joseph Andrews. And Mr. Adams says that, and Lady Booby requesting Mr. Adams. So these two young lovers, they want to get marriage. So Lady Booby requesting Mr. Adams, and you must not cooperate to Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill, and you spoil the relationship. And later Lady Booby requesting Mr. Adam, but Mr. Adam so never accepts a proposal. No, I can't do like that, because they are great lovers, and Joseph Andrews is a very good person. He's a very handsome and very so he's an honest man. So right now Joseph Andrews' age exactly 21 years. So he's a very kind personality. I don't want to disturb their family. I don't want to disturb the true lovers. And Mr. Adams says to Lady Booby. So then you can see, Lady Booby trying to seduce. She has a lust on Joseph Andrews. So she wants to spoil. She wants to spoil the relationship between Fanny Goodwill and Joseph Andrews. So Lady Booby, am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I am not able to see your faces, whether you are listening or not listening. So almost 66 members are listening to class. Very good.
We are just involving your story.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, very good. Okay. Now, Thomas Booby, Lady Booby, so trying to spoil the life of Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill, because she has a lust. She has a sexual desire, a strong sexual desire on Joseph Andrews. But this is the man who wants to marry Fanny Goodwill, because she is his beloved. So next, one more character, that character name, Mr. Andrews. Mr. Andrews. Okay. Next characters, Mr. Booby is there. Booby is not, I did not mention here. Mr. Booby, sorry. Here 7. Mr. Booby, the nephew of Sir Thomas. So Mr. Booby's wife name is Pamela. Pamela Andrews, Joseph, virtuous, beautiful sister from whom he derives inspiration. No. Mr. Wilson, no, sorry, not Wilson. Mr. Booby. Mr. Booby is different. Mr. Booby, the nephew of Sir Thomas Booby. Sir Thomas Booby, nephew, Mr. Booby, who married Pamela Andrews. He married Pamela Andrews. So one more important thing I missed. So while Joseph Andrews, he explains everything in a letter form to his sister Pamela Andrews. He explains everything. It is also like a letter form. ఉత్తర రూపంలో ఉంటుంది అనమాట ఇది కూడా నావెల్. Pamela Andrews and this is the Joseph Andrews explains everything. How Lady Booby seducing, how Mrs. Slipslop seducing Joseph Andrews, explains everything, and he writes letter and who send to Pamela Andrews. So same Pamela Andrews she is married to Mr. Booby. Mr. Booby is a nephew of Thomas Booby. So
సార్ యు ఓన్లీ మేనల్లుడు కదా?
అవును మేనల్లుడు. So the nephew of Sir Thomas Booby, so he is married. So later Lady Booby requesting Mr. Booby and asking Booby, you spoil their marriage. So Joseph Andrews and this Mr. Booby also trying to spoil the marriage of Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill. But Lady Booby trying always the end stuff from the beginning. So beginning it is a 4 books. It has a Joseph Andrews 4 books. In the 4 books, first book we can see how Lady Booby seducing Joseph Andrews, and when you see the last book, 4th book, and she gives protection to the Fanny Goodwill and Joseph Andrews because she is a very rich woman. That's why she gives protection to the Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill. Mrs. Slipslop also trying to seduce. Right now also she is trying to seduce Joseph Andrews. So Lady Booby, and she is disappointed and she is nervous because wants to spoil their marriage, but no chance. Even Mr. Booby trying to spoil the marriage, but Joseph Andrews is a very virtuous young footman, virtuous man. So meanwhile, what happened? There is a family, Mr. Andrews and Mrs. Andrews. Story. Mr. Andrews and Mrs. Andrews. Actually, they are this is the Fanny Goodwill. Actually, she is also when she was a child, Fanny Goodwill, when she was in the cradle, when she was in a cradle, and she was abducted by gypsies. Fanny Goodwill was abducted by gypsy అంటే తెలుసు కదా, జిప్సీలు అంటారు కదా. జిప్సీ అంటే they travel from one place to other place. They always travel from one place to other place. Those we call them gypsies. Fanny Goodwill was abducted by the gypsies when she was in a cradle. ఉయ్యాలలో ఉన్నప్పుడే ఆమెని కొంతమంది దొంగల్లో జిప్సీస్ ఆమెని తీసుకోపోవడం. సో right now they recognize Fanny Goodwill. Fanny Goodwill is a daughter of Mr. Andrews and Mrs. Andrews, and Pamela is a daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. Joseph Andrews is Joseph Andrews' son, Mr. and Mrs. Andrews' son, Joseph Andrews. Right now they recognize Fanny Goodwill is a daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. So she was abducted by the thieves when she was in a cradle, when she was a child, when she was infant. So that girl was abducted by the gypsies. The same girl, they recognize Fanny Goodwill. Right now, Fanny Goodwill was the daughter of, right now she's a daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. Now, what happens? Joseph Andrews' father,
She becomes the sister.
they become sisters. They become sisters. Now, Pamela is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. Joseph Andrews, son of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. Now, right now, Fanny Goodwill also, who becomes daughter of Mr. Andrews and Mrs. Andrews. And it is a very disastrous moment happens. And Lady Booby, she feels very, very happy because she gets a chance to get married, a chance to get have a sexual relationship with Joseph Andrews. So she feels very, very happy. And later, what happened? So Pamela Andrews says that she is actually our sister, you cannot marry. And Joseph Andrews is in a very, very pathetic condition, very depressed and nervous. So, he always thinks that she is our mistress, maybe she is our wife, but because of the relationship between brother and sister, so he doesn't want to marry that Fanny Goodwill. So what happened? The story, when it comes to the story, actually Joseph Andrews is not the son of Mr. Andrews and Mrs. Andrews. Actually, he is a son of Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Wilson's son. Okay, Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Wilson. How they find this is the Joseph Andrews. Joseph Andrews on his chest. మనకు ఏ సినిమాలో ఉంటుంది, తెలుగు సినిమాలో ఉంటుంది, పుట్టుమచ్చలు ఉంటుంది, చెస్ట్ మీదను బ్యాక్ ను ఉంటుంది పుట్టుమచ్చ. మనకు ఈ సినిమా ఉంటుంది, ఈ సినిమా ఉంటుంది, ఇచ్చిన పాత సినిమాలలో కొత్త సినిమాలలో ఉంటాయి. ఐడియా?
హలో బ్రదర్.
అలా బ్రదర్లా పుట్టుమచ్చ ఉంటాయా? ఉందా పుట్టుమచ్చ?
ఉంటుంది.
అదే స్టోరీ అన్నమాట. సో ఆ పుట్టుమచ్చ అలా బ్రదర్ అంటే స్టోరీలలో యాక్చువల్లీ ఇవన్నీ మన ఇంగ్లీష్ నావెల్స్ తీసుకునే మన తెలుగు స్టోరీలన్నీ. వాళ్ళ నుంచి వీళ్ళు కాపీ చేసారు, వాళ్ళు కాదు కాపీ చేసింది, దే డిడ్ నాట్ కాపీ. సో దీస్ ఆర్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఒరిజినల్. సో దే రికగ్నైజ్ Mr. Mrs. Wilson's son is a Joseph Andrews because they find him as a birthmark on his chest. On his chest there is a birthmark. That birthmark belongs to the son of Mr. Mrs. Wilson, and he is also abducted by some more thieves. And now, right now,
who recognized the birth? Who recognized the birth?
Actually, who recognized because Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Wilson, they give shelter to the trio. They give shelter to Mr. Adams and Joseph Andrews and Fanny Goodwill. So he is a gentleman who gives shelter to the Fanny Goodwill and Joseph Andrews and Mr. Adams when they go to their hometown. So that time Wilson explains everything to the Mr. Adams. Actually, Mr. Adams, he explains his story. He is a gentleman after turbulent youth, he retired to the country with his wife and children. He lives life of virtue and simplicity. Mr. Wilson explains everything. I have a son. My son was abducted by somebody, but at the age of very young, when he was in child, and he was abducted by some people. So is on his chest there is a birthmark is there. So he is my son. So Mr. and Mrs. Wilson explains everything to this is the Mr. Adams. But Mr. Adams did not see the birthmark on his chest. He did not see the birthmark, Joseph Andrews' birthmark on his chest. So he explains everything. Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Wilson explains everything to the Mr. Adams. So Mr. Adams who finds a birthmark on his chest. So then he says that you are actually belong, your father is Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. Then and Joseph Andrews, he feels very happy, and he wants to marry. So there is no problem, and Lady Booby completely disappointed after listening to this matter. And there is right now Joseph Andrews has a chance to get marry Fanny Goodwill. Right now Joseph Andrews' father, whose father and mother?
Wilson and Mrs. Wilson.
Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, actually original father and mother of Joseph Andrews. And Fanny Goodwill, father and mother?
Mr. and Mrs. Andrews.
Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. So Mr. and Mrs. Andrews and Joseph Andrews and Pamela Andrews also. So daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. But he always thinks that she is his sister. At the end of the story, we can understand that. So she is the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. Hello? Am I clear the story?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Understand the story?
Then how they can misunderstand that he is the son of the Mr. and Mrs. Andrews?
So they recognize Fanny Goodwill as an abducted daughter by the different sources. So they recognize Fanny Goodwill, their daughter, Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. And actually, everybody they believe that Mr. Joseph Andrew actually is a son of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. But Mr. and Mrs. Andrews, they replaced by the boy. Actually, replaced by the boy. This is the boy they abducted from the Mr. and Mrs. Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah, they abducted from the Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. They placed instead of boy, and they placed the girl. So he replaced with a boy. So everybody thinks that they are actually originally, they feel that so they have a son, actually they have a daughter, but this is the Fanny Goodwill thrown away, and everybody thinks that she is an orphan, but luckily they find Fanny Goodwill as their daughter, and this is the mystery which reveals the end of the story. So once you
ఎత్తుకెళ్ళిపోయినప్పుడు అట్లా జరుగుతుందా
రీప్లేస్మెంట్ అవుతుంది. So because of the birthmark, so they find Joseph Andrews as a son of Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. So this is the story. A very lengthy story. చాలా పెద్ద స్టోరీ ఇది. ఎంత పెద్ద స్టోరీ అంత పెద్ద స్టోరీ. ఇట్స్ వెరీ 4 books, but I concised very small, so you can also read it, and I'll send you this material also. Please, I'll write down, because when I'm signing from this and I'm not able to take the mail ID, give me any one mail ID. So I'll tell you the themes of this. So major the themes of this novel: the vulnerability and power of goodness. Vulnerability ante it's a weakness. The weakness and the power of goodness. So if you are a good, and good happens to you, మంచిగా ఉంటే మంచి జరుగుతుంది. The power of goodness, charity and religion. These are the 2 important themes. So I did not mention these themes, but in the story, charity and religion. The charity, there is a discussion between Mr. Adams and Barnabas. There is a discussion. What is the importance of the sermons? So actually, our another second protagonist, his name is Mr. Adams. Actually, he wants to go to London, wants to publish his sermons, religious and holy personality. So is a holy personality. That person, he forgets to take his sermons. There is a discussion between Mr. Barnabas and Mr. Adams. The discussion between the what is the importance of the charity and religion, and the providence, and the town and country. What is the different culture between the country, the small village, and the country and the town? Country is a village, so town and country. There is a in the town atmosphere and the country atmosphere is different. There is a when you see here when Joseph Andrew, when he goes to London, in London he is completely it's a very new to the town. He grabs, he wants to follow the culture, religion, and cultural differences. Everything is different. Affectionate and vanity, hypocrisy. So chastity is a holistic behavior, class and birth. What is the difference between the class and birth? And class is a upper class and lower class, and birth because of actually Mr. Wilson family is a very rich family background. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, he struggles a lot. Mr. Wilson, he struggles a lot because of different reasons. He struggles a lot, and he belongs to rich family background. But because even though he belongs to rich family, because Joseph Andrews, he belongs to rich family, because of the birth and class differences we can see. Even he is a rich man, but he struggles a lot to survive in town and country, in small village. So that is a chastity. Chastity means honesty. Honesty you can see in this theme. These are the 7 important themes. These themes are very, very important. Story, if you have idea, they won't ask you story. They will ask you the themes of the story. These themes you can write down and prepare the themes. Affectionate and vanity, hypocrisy, chastity, class and birth. These are the themes. I think actually our class 4:30, huh?
So, sir,
5, 5.
5 or 4:30? 5:30.
5, sir.
Right, sir. 5 o'clock, sir.
4:30. Mark ichindi 4:30. They gave only.
It's okay, sir. You can continue.
Okay. Understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, time up to 5:10. Okay. Fine. These are the major themes explained, and I'll show you some important okay. Now, Parson Adams, learned but vain clergyman. Kanapadutunda, is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Parson Adam, so Mr. Abraham Adams, learned but vain clergyman. Parish clergyman, lady booby, predatory, immoral widow. She doesn't have moral values. Lady Booby. Predatory employer. Joseph Andrews, charitable, respectable footman. Mr. Wilson, generous, recursive, country squire, village square. Fanny Goodwill, beautiful, loyal, diary maid. So Mr. Wilson, kind host, and Lady Booby, a former employer. Fanny Goodwill also is a former employer to the Lady Booby. Don't forget, Fanny Goodwill also, she was a former employer to Lady Booby. Lady Booby, Fanny Goodwill, she is a milkmaid, former employer to the Lady Booby, and betrothed Fanny Goodwill and Joseph Andrews, and mentor, Patterson mentor who always guides to Joseph Andrews how to lead their life. So this is all about
Yes.
okay.
సార్ ఒక డౌట్
చెప్పు.
స్టార్టింగ్ లో ఎక్కడ ఉన్నాడు సార్ ఇతను జోసెఫ్ ఆండ్రూస్? తను లండన్ అనుకుంటాడు కదా, లేడీ బూబీ దగ్గర ఉండక తర్వాత ఆ స్ట్రగుల్స్ అన్ని ఫేస్ చేశాక లండన్ వెళ్ళే టైంలో ఇవన్నీ స్ట్రగుల్స్ ఫేస్ చేస్తారు కదా.
అవునవును, యాక్చువల్లీ బిఫోర్ దట్ సో ఈజ్ విత్ లేడీ బూబీ కూడా ఒక హౌస్ ఉన్నది.
అవును సార్, అది ఎక్కడ?
జోసెఫ్ ఆండ్రూస్ లోకల్ స్క్వేర్ అదొక విలేజ్, ఆల్మోస్ట్ స్మాల్ విలేజ్ అన్నమాట. Joseph son is apprentice at the age of 10 years. He was apprentice. So he is given various jobs. He is given various jobs. So until 17, he has grown handsome young man, makes him footman.
Okay.
So later he has accumulated as well as a PT.
Okay.
So he wants to teach him Latin. Mr. Adams, he wants to teach Latin, but Mrs. Slipslop, she does not give permission to Joseph Andrews to study Latin. This is the 4 books. So I will give you material. Don't worry. I think you have a textbook also, your books also. So you right now, if you read, you can definitely will understand. Right now, if you read, you will definitely will understand. But you have to read the 4 books. Rising Action. So this is the Rising Action. Joseph becomes footman. So the major themes I'll explain. Joseph becomes footman to Lady Booby at age 17. Joseph is fired for not accepting Lady Booby's advances. So this is the Joseph Andrews. He does not accept Lady Booby's advances. Joseph is rescued after being robbed by highwayman. He was robbed by the thieves. He was robbed by the ruffians అనొచ్చు, thieves అనొచ్చు, highwayman అనొచ్చు. ఇంగ్లీష్లో కూడా ఒక మూవీ ఉంది highwayman అని.
గజ దొంగలు అనొచ్చా సార్? గజ దొంగలు,
ఏ దొంగలనండి. ఓకే, జోసెఫ్ రెస్క్యూడ్ ఆఫ్టర్ బీయింగ్, మనది ఇంగ్లీష్లో అనంగా తెలుగులో రాయం కదా. Okay, no problem. Joseph is rescued after being robbed by the highwayman. While recovering at an inn, Joseph runs into Patterson Adams. Patterson Adams and Joseph set off for their hometown. They want to go to their hometown. Patterson Adams and Joseph. Patterson Adams saves Joseph's fiancée Fanny from rapist. So Patterson Adams, who saves Joseph Andrews' fiancée Fanny Goodwill, so saves from the rapist. Fanny and Joseph reunites and set off with Patterson Adams. So they reunite. They want to go to their hometown. They want to get marriage. The trio take shelter with Mr. Wilson and learn his history. Mr. Wilson, who explains his historical background. So explains everything to only Mr. Adams. But Mr. Adam also explains everything to Joseph Andrews. But Joseph Andrews, he did not listen the complete story. Middle of the story, he slept. Did not listen the story. So he explains also. He's the son, Wilson's son, who has a birthmark on his chest, and explains everything. Wilson explains everything to Mr. Adam, but Mr. Adam also trying to explain to Joseph Andrews, but Joseph Andrews, middle of the story, he was slept. He was slept. He could not listen to the complete story. The evil squire offer the trio false hospitality. The Fanny is saved again from the rapist, the evil squire. The falling action. Fanny and Joseph are arrested after returning home. Fanny and Joseph. These are also arrested tied with a rope. And peddler reveals that Fanny is a Pamela Andrews' sister. Mr. Andrews, peddler reveals that Fanny is Pamela Andrews. Who reveals? Peddler. One character is there. Peddler reveals that Fanny is Pamela Andrews' sister. Mr. Andrews reveals that Joseph is her adopted child. So later, this is the story. You can understand 3rd and 13 and 14. Can you read this one? Anyone? Read this one. Only one.
Andrew's sister. Mrs. Andrews reveals that Joseph is her adopted child.
These are the two important. So peddler reveals. The peddler
Sir?
The peddler knows that Fanny is actually daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. Peddler, so from birth onwards, and peddler knows everything. Fanny is Mr. and Mrs. Andrews' daughter, but peddler did not reveal. But later he reveals to Mr. and Mrs. Andrews. But Mrs. Andrews also knows that. Actually, Mrs. Andrews reveals that Joseph is her adopted child. So Joseph is actually, Mr. Andrews says that Mrs. Andrews, mother of Fanny, so previously thinks that Mr. Andrews knows that, but she did not reveal to Mr. Andrews. So she knows that. Well, Amma తెలుసు కానీ she did not reveal. That is the story. Okay. Now.
ఒక డౌట్ ఉంది.
చెప్పండి.
సార్ అది ఆడమ్స్ జోసెఫ్ ఇద్దరు కలిసి హోమ్ టౌన్ కి వెళ్తారు కదా సార్. మళ్ళీ ఆడమ్స్ మాత్రమే అది ఫ్యానీని హెల్ప్ చేస్తారేంటి సార్? మరి అప్పుడు జోసెఫ్ అనే క్యారెక్టర్ వెళ్ళిపోతుంది.
జోసెఫ్ వాళ్ళు ఇద్దరు విడిపోతారు మధ్యలో చాలాసార్లు విడిపోతారు వాళ్ళు. మధ్యలో ట్రావెలింగ్ లో చాలా సార్లు విడిపోతారు వాళ్ళకి దేర్ ఆర్ సో మెనీ డిఫికల్టీస్. బికాస్ ఆఫ్ దేర్ ఇస్ ఓన్లీ వన్ హార్స్ ఉంటుంది, ఒకటే గుర్రం ఉంటుంది. ఒక గుర్రంలో ఉంటే వన్ పర్సన్ హ్యాస్ టు గో టు ద స్టేజ్ కోచ్. ఒకడేమో గుర్రం బండి మీద పోవాలి, ఇంకోళ్ళేమో గుర్రం మీద పోవాలి. బికాస్ దే హ్యావ్ ఓన్లీ వన్ హార్స్, సో దే నీడ్ టు గో టు వన్ పర్సన్ హ్యాస్ టు గో టు స్టేజ్ కోచ్. గుర్రం బండి ఉంటుంది కదా, పెద్ద రథాలు ఉంటాయి కదా అట్లా. సో అట్లా జట్కా బండి లెక్క పెద్దగా ఉంటాయి కొన్ని. సో హ్యాస్ టు గో టు దిస్ మిస్టర్ పర్సన్ Adams హ్యాస్ టు గో టు స్టేజ్ కోచ్, అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ ద జోసెఫ్ Andrews హ్యాస్ టు గో బై హార్స్. సో బికాస్ ఆ గ్యాప్ లో విడిపోవటం వల్ల సో హీ వాంట్స్ టు సేవ్ ద ఫ్యానీ గుడ్ విల్. ఇది కొంచెం కాంప్లికేటెడ్ స్టోరీ. మీకు చదివితే చాలా మైండ్ హీట్ ఎక్కుతుంది.
మీరు చెప్పింది చాలు కదా.
Exam point of view, you can also read this one, and already I show you some themes. Themes are there, na? Themes.
Yes sir.
That themes. I'll send you the material. Whatever material I am sending you, you read that only. That is enough.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Don't read more than that. But if they ask you, I'll already told you, if they ask you any kind of questions, you write down the well prepared questions, and first you read the summary. After reading the summary, major themes. What are the major themes of the novel? Themes, without understanding the themes, so you are not a literature student. Literature student has to see the themes of the novel. First basic thing is, మనకు వచ్చే ప్రాబ్లమే ఫస్ట్ స్టోరీ అర్థం కాదు, ఇంకా థీమ్స్ ఏం రాసాం సార్ అంటారు. ఎస్ సార్ నో?
No, sir.
సార్ మీకు ఇవాళ బాగా మంచిగా అర్థమైంది సార్. వెరీ థ్యాంక్ యూ.
అవునా అన్నపూర్ణ? ఓకే
సార్
ఓకే ఓకే
వన్ స్మాల్ డౌట్ సార్.
చెప్పండి
సార్ ఒక చిన్న డౌట్
పెద్ద కూడా చెప్పు.
సార్, while writing these themes, no, we should elaborate the themes or we should write only the headings?
No, you should elaborate. You want to elaborate.
Sir,
Okay, sir. But for that elaboration also we need the material, sir.
Okay, that's why I'm saying, I will send you themes, major themes. Right now.
Okay.
Wait. I'll send you the major themes and the summary. I don't want to give you full material, 20 pages and 30 pages. You will be confused. Yes or no?
Okay. Only the important ones you give, sir.
Oh, wait. 2 minutes. So please tell me, any one of you can explain the story? చెప్పాలంటే కొంచెం బ్రీఫ్ లో 1 minute లో can you explain the story? Any one of you. తెలుగులో కూడా చెప్పండి, ఏం కాదు. ఇంగ్లీష్లో చెప్తే బాగుంటుంది. Want to explain? Any one of you want to explain? హలో, ఎవరైనా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారా?
Sir, I will try.
You have to try. Very good. What is your name?
Sir, I am Shyam Sundar.
Shyam Sundar. Will you explain?
Yes. Yes,
Explain.
sir. I will try.
Try.
Okay, I just try. At the beginning of the story, Joseph Andrews was a footman at Lady Booby's home.
Please wait. I have to. I think all are mute. So I have to. Okay.
Lady Booby's home. He works as a footman in her home. She is a widow. She seduces him, but he is a very honesty, and he is very fair. That's why he rejects her. Then he wanted to go to his village, Joseph Andrews, to meet her lover, Fanny Goodwill. Is it right, sir?
Continue. Continue. Yeah, Santosh.
He wanted to go to his own town to meet her lover, Fanny Goodwill. On the way, he meets so many. He need to face so many problems, and he need to face adventures there. Then, at that time, he had to face the. Just a minute, sir. This one, Adams. Adams is Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams wanted to go to London, but because of her wife, she puts clothes instead of sermons in his bag. So that's why Mr. Adams wanted to go to London actually, but he returns to his village. Both Mr. Adams and Joseph Andrews wants to go to their village. They were separated. There are so many robbers there. They face so many difficulties and problems on the way. On the way, Mr. Adams meets a girl, 17 years, I think, young girl, beautiful young girl. She was there. One person tried to rape her. Mr. Adams saves her. She wanted to go to London to meet her boyfriend. When Adams asked her his name, she told Joseph Andrews. She said she
Santosh. Okay. Anyhow, good.
Sir, I am Shyam Sundar.
Shyam Sundar. Okay, very good. You have tried.
Yes, sir.
ఇంకే అర్థమైందా అందరికి?
Sir, I have one doubt, sir. For
Tell me.
short answers, what should be the length of the answer, and for long answers also, what should be the length, sir? How many pages, something?
Based on the question, based on the content, you have to write. Suppose 20 marks question. 20 marks questions, you can write down 2 pages both sides. 2 or 3 pages. Some people they write to 3 pages, but there should be content. Content should be there. Without content, ఏదో పేజీలు నింపడం కాకుండా కొంచెం మ్యాటర్ రాయాలి. సో మెటీరియల్ ఉన్నది, అండ్ దీంట్లో గూగుల్ మీట్లో ఐఎమ్ నాట్ అనేబుల్ టు సెండ్ మెసేజెస్ టు ద గూగుల్ మీట్ ఫ్రమ్ గూగుల్ మీట్. సో ఐ విల్ టేక్ వన్ ఆఫ్ యువర్ మెయిల్ ఐడి. I think Satya 47 ANU TYA 47 SATYA Gmail
47
40 ఏజా?
సార్ మా వారిది.
ఓకే Anu Satya, but joke, don't take seriously. Anu Satya 47@gmail.com. Okay, I'll send you this material and the previous material.
Yes, sir.
I can't send my material to each and everyone. Anu Satya, you are responsible to send the mail in our WhatsApp group.
Okay, sir.
Okay, na? Any questions?
Telegram.
Hello?
Telegram app group.
Okay. Whatever the medium of communication, you can send to any medium of messages.
Sir, one more thing. Whatever you are sending, if we just read that, it is more than enough. Like summary and themes for every lesson is enough, sir.
Summary and theme I'm explaining, that is more than enough. Okay.
So in every chapter, if you study summary and themes, enough. No need of studying anything extra apart from that.
You have to read because actually textbooks only you have to read. Originally you have to read original textbooks. Because lack of time only we are sending the very concised material to you, but you have to read. But I'm not suggesting you should read only my material. Just I am preparing for you for the sake of the Telugu medium background చూస్తారు కొంతమంది చాలా డిఫరెంట్ రీజన్స్ ఉంటాయి వాళ్ళ కోసం అని. ఇవి మీరు చదవాలనుకుంటే కంప్లీట్గా ఒరిజినల్ టెక్స్ట్ చదువుకుంటే ఇంకా మంచిది, ఇంకా మీరు బుక్స్ చదువుకుంటే ఇంకా మంచిది. సో నేను చెప్పేది ఏంటంటే ఎగ్జామ్ పర్పస్లో ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. సబ్జెక్ట్ పర్పస్లో అంటే యూ హావ్ టు రీడ్ books, original textbooks. That is my suggestion. Okay na?
Yes, sir.
ఇంకా అర్థమైందా? లెసన్ అర్థమైందా?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
క్లాస్
సార్ షార్ట్ ఆన్సర్ ఎంత రాయాలి సార్ లెంత్?
ఎన్ని మార్కులు స్టార్ట్?
5 మార్క్స్
5 మార్క్స్ 1 పేజీ వెళ్ళిపోతుంది, సరిపోతుంది.
One side of the page, sir.
వన్ సైడ్ 5 మార్క్స్.
రేపు ఉంది కదా సార్ మీ క్లాస్?
రేపు 2 o'clock అనుకుంటా. 2 o'clock I have a class.
You have class tomorrow.
పేపర్ హెల్ప్ చేస్తారా సార్? పేపర్ 4 కొద్దిగా హెల్ప్ చేస్తారా?
పేపర్ 4 నాది కాదుగా.
మీదిగా అంటే మీరు కొద్దిగా హెల్ప్ చేస్తారని సార్.
హెల్ప్ చేయడం అంటే చెప్తారు కదా సార్లు అందరు.
అసలు అర్థం కావట్లేదు సార్.
ఏమో ఏంటి అర్థం కావట్లే.
అసలు ఏ లెసన్ అర్థం కాలేదు సార్ అందులో.
High terminology, sir. They are going in their way only. They are experts, no? That's why. They are experts, no, sir. They are seniors, no?
అర్థం అవ్వట్లేదు సార్, సార్ చెప్పండి.
Even Nagesh sir teaching is very good, sir.
ఓకే.
మీరు మా మైండ్ సెట్ అర్థం చేసుకుని చెప్తున్నారు, వాళ్ళేమో సీనియర్స్ కదా, హై టెక్నాలజీస్ యూజ్ చేస్తున్నారు. మాకు అనేబుల్.
చదవాలి మరి. ఇక 4th పేపర్ అర్థం కాకపోతే ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయించుకోండి. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్, యు ఆస్క్ దెమ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ 2-3 times. You can ask them, they'll explain summary. నేను 4th చెప్పాలంటే నేను మళ్ళీ నాకు టైం ఉండాలి కదా. నేను ఐఎమ్ ఆల్సో వెరీ బిజీనా. 4th పేపర్లో ఏమున్నాయి? ఏమేమున్నాయి 4th లో? హలో, 4th లో ఏమున్నాయి?
In unit 1, romanticism, fancy and imagination, science and religion, dramatic monologue, lyric, gothic, historical novel, free rhetoric. It is unit. In 2nd unit, Wordsworth's Chinnad Abbe, book 1, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner.
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. It was written by it was written by S.T. Coleridge. S.T. Water, everywhere water, but not drop of drink of water.
To Skylar. Ode to the West Wine.
What to the West?
Greasy and
What to the West Wind? What? Title కూడా that. What to the West Wind? Skylark. Okay. Ode on a Grecian Urn, which was written by John Keats.
Yes, sir.
Ode on Grecian Urn. The Rhyme of the Ancient. Lotus Eaters. Alfred Tennyson.
Del Sarto.
Robert Browning. Andrew Del Sarto, Robert Browning.
Dover Beach and Scholar Gypsy.
Then Matthew Arnold.
Yes, sir. The Study of Poetry, Arnold. Lamb, Dream Children, essay of Elia Old China.
Dream Children. Jan Austen, Dream Children. Actually, this Charles Lamb, who is dreaming. He is dreaming, and he thinks that they have a grandmother, children Elias and John. So ఆయనకి ఇద్దరు కొడుకులు ఉన్నట్టు ఊహించుకుంటాడు చార్ల్స్ ల్యాంబ్. హీ డ్రీమ్స్, దేర్ ఆర్ డ్రీమ్ చిల్డ్రన్. సో he was not married. Charles Lamb was not married, and he always dreams he has a daughter and son. They ask about their grandmothers. The grandmother name మీకు చదువుకోవచ్చు మీరు. ఈజీలీ యూ కెన్ రీడ్ ఇట్. డ్రీమ్ చిల్డ్రన్
ఇంకా లెసన్ కాలేదు సార్, సార్ చెప్తా అన్నారు.
So dream children actually, the children they Charles Lamb who is dreaming. So he has a one son and one son and daughter. So their name is Ellis and John. There is they dreaming about a grandmother field. Grandmother పేరు field. ఇట్లా మనం కంపారిజన్ చేస్తుంటారు. ఇట్స్ ఎ వెరీ డ్రీమ్ స్టోరీ అన్నమాట. పెద్ద స్టోరీలో ఇప్పుడు ఆల్రెడీ 5:30 అయిపోయింది కదా. అడగండి, హూ ఈస్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయినింగ్ రొమాన్సిజం? పేపర్ 4.
క్రిస్టోఫర్ సార్.
క్రిస్టోఫర్ సార్, వెరీ గుడ్ ప్రొఫెసర్. ఓకే, హలో చెప్పండి.
పేపర్ అశోక్ సార్ చెప్పారు సార్. సెకండ్ పేపర్
సారీ.
ఓకే, అశోక్ సార్ అండ్ క్రిస్టోఫర్ సారా?
అశోక్ సార్ ఫోర్త్ పేపర్ సార్, క్రిస్టోఫర్ సార్ సెకండ్ పేపర్.
ఓకే ఫోర్త్ పేపరు. ఓకే, ఫోర్త్ పేపరు అశోక్ సారా? రొమాన్సిజం, రొమాంటిక్ లిటరేచర్. చార్ల్స్ ల్యాంబ్
చాలా రొమాంటిక్ గా చెప్పాడు సార్. వాకింగ్ చేస్తూ ఫ్రెష్ ఎయిర్ పీల్చుకుంటూ.
అంటే టు క్రియేట్ ఏ romantic experience to you, and that's why you take a walk. Okay, major ga romantic poets లలో romanticism అంటే majorly they focus on the romanticism means in the sense they like nature, art for art's sake. They believe art for art's sake. So that's why there are no rules, just they follow nature, they imitate nature. The major romantic poets are John Keats, William Wordsworth, William Blake, Charles Lamb, S.T. Coleridge. So these are the romantic poets. Romantic poets means romantic period, 18th century. It's a 19th century, almost 19th century. In the 19th century romantic period, romantic people, they romantic in the sense they love nature. They imitate nature. They like beauty of nature. So daffodils. Then if you see the daffodils, it was written by William Wordsworth. Poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings and emotions recollected in tranquility. So William Wordsworth says that poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings and emotions recollected in tranquility. Means when you feel poetry, when you feel poetry is spontaneous రావాలి. So overflow of powerful feelings. When you have a powerful feeling, that feeling should be come as naturally as leaves to a tree. And John Keats also says that poetry comes not as naturally as leaves to the tree. It had better not come at all. John Keats says that poetry should be natural, very natural. Then only we can write poetry. So by seeing this one, we can understand that poetry has to come very natural. Romantic people, romantic critics, romantic poets, they love nature. They love beauty of nature. They sleep the lap of nature. So romantic in the sense, the beautiful nature, how they like the beautiful nature, how they feel when they see the Lucy. William Wordsworth has also wrote Lucy poems, extraordinary poems. And the Lucy is a beautiful girl, but Lucy in the sense is a flower, it's not a girl. So Lucy, and we can compare the flower with a girl, the beautiful girl, and how the Lucy, the daffodils. So romantic period in the sense means they love nature. They like supernatural elements. These are the people: Wordsworth, William Blake, William Wordsworth, PB Shelley. So PB Shelley, Matthew Arnaldo. Matthew Arnaldo also comes romantic period. And already I know Matthew Arnaldo is a poem The Scholar Gypsy. ఇది అంతా ఉంటారండి, పెద్ద టాపిక్ ఇప్పుడు ఒక్క రోజులో చెప్పేది కాదు అది. ఓకే, ఎనీవే ఐ విష్ యూ ఆల్ ద బెస్ట్. ఓకే, హ్యావ్ ఏ
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we will meet tomorrow. So tomorrow 2 o'clock I have a class. So I will teach you Gulliver's Travels. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay na?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
ఇంకా ఏమన్నా చెప్పాలనుకుంటారా?
Sir, you are teaching a lot, teaching very nicely, sir. Thank you. You are able to understand.
ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Yes, sir. Really.
అది ఎప్పుడు పంపిస్తారు సార్ నా దానికి?
ఇప్పుడే పంపిస్తా.
ఓకే సార్.
ఓకేనా?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
ఓకే.
Thank you so much, sir.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Thank you very much, sir.
ఓకే, బాయ్, సీ యూ.
Bye, sir. Bye, sir. Thank you.